Tuesday. North Carolina vinyl picker here, and we got a fresh 50 going to be showing you. And I got a couple of CDs I want to show you real quick. But did anybody notice I wasn't on yesterday? I've been working out my yard a lot, trying to get some yard work done, and it's crazy. I got like 3.5 acres, and probably 2 acres of that is something I got to take care of, as far as the grass and the cutting and the edging and the plants. And anybody out there with a big yard knows it can get away from you pretty quick. So anyway, enough of that. I'm back, and I don't have anything really new to show, except for I got one CD here I want to show you. I don't plan on buying any albums this week, but I've just been listening to the stuff I currently have, which is, as you know, a lot. So before we get into the 50, and we're still working on the M's. Currently listening to some Mahavishnu Orchestra. Oh my gosh. First heard them in high school and they just blew my freaking mind. Okay, so here we go. So the album by Yes, it's called Fly From Here, came out with the Return Trip. Now the Return Trip was something that Trevor Horn did after the first release of Fly From Here. Now, this was after John Anderson. This is an album they did in 2001, 2011. Sorry. So they did this album in 2011, but originally they did it with the lead singer his name was Benoit David. He was a Canadian guy, and he was from a band up there in Canada, and but then Yes went ahead and hired him. And when they did this album, this is the one I just picked up yesterday. When they did this album, David Benoit didn't make the tour. It didn't work out, and I don't know if he even completed the tour. But when I saw him live, they had John Davidson in the band. Now, John Davidson wasn't on this one. He wasn't on the original album. They didn't hire him until after. So what Trevor Horn wanted to go ahead and do, he wanted to do the lead vocals on here, since Trevor Horn originally wrote this music. Now this music goes way back to the time of Yes, when they did the Drama album. There was some leftover material, and the song was actually called Fly From Here. It's a suite, and it's 5, 10, 14, about 16 minutes broken down into 6 different tracks. First 6 songs on the album is like the complete, there's an overture and everything. It's a complete thing. So, but Trevor Horn wanted to do the vocals, so they redid it. This album came out in 2018. They redid the album. Okay, so the other day, where are we? 3 minutes in. So the other day I saw on eBay somebody was selling this CD, and it comes from Moline Public Library. So I asked the guy, and this is the album he showed. I asked the guy, is this the album you currently, the one you're showing, is this the one I'm going to get? He said, yeah. So, because I was afraid I was going to get this one, the Return Trip. Now this one here, you can pick this album up for like $5. It's not $5 to $10 CD. It's not expensive. Okay, but this one is expensive. It's more. It goes from anywhere between $25 and $30 for the CD of this. And it's nice to have, and I don't care. It came from a library. It looks really good. It's like perfect. So I have the CD burned to a CDR, but to have the original of this is pretty cool. And then to get it for $5 is even cooler, because the guy posted it wrong on eBay, and I was able to get it for a really good price on his screw up. But what the moral of the story is, there is good deals you can find on eBay, or probably Discogs too, but you just got to look for them. And sometimes you'll find where people make mistakes when they're putting them up on eBay, or they're putting up the wrong price. and they're bidding, they're pricing something that's $100 record. They're pricing it at $9 or something, and then they'll have buy it now, and then jump right on it. So anyway, we've gone 5 minutes, and I'll tell you the story about the two Yes albums. It's a great album, by the way, and if you get a chance to listen to it, I saw the tour with John Davidson in St. Augustine, Florida, and they did the song. They did Lightning Strikes from the Ladder, and then when they were doing that song, there was actually a thunderstorm and lightning hit pretty close by the amphitheater there, and Steve Howe was playing his guitar at the time, and you could tell he was startled by the lightning, and then they just kept on playing. So, but that's Florida. I mean, it rains every day there. So here you go. There's a pretty cool. That's the story about those. If you have any other questions about them, just ask me in the comment section down below. You ready for the 50? Here we go. We're a day late and $1 short. I didn't show 50 yesterday, and I think we're on day 14 or 15. So speaking of Mahavishnu, here we go. This is a live recording, and this is the album Between Nothingness and Eternity. I love Mahavishnu. I need to get more of their stuff. I think I got almost everything. And then how about this band, Mandrel? Anybody seen or heard this band? This album is their first album, I suppose. It's called Mandrel, and the band is called Mandrel. And I think they're kind of like Santana. I don't know. I got to give them a listen. Like early Santana or Obiscu or Obisa, whatever. I can't remember how you pronounce that name of that band. But I have to give this a listen. I haven't even listened to it yet. And I've had it for quite a while. I picked it up at an antique mall for like $5. But the cover alone was worth the price of admission. I just had to get it when I saw it for $5. I'll have to give it a listen. It's probably a good album. Get Your Rocks Off. Oh, Man for Man's Earth Band. Yeah, I have a few of their records. Everybody knows the song Blinded by the Light, which I think was a Bruce Springsteen song. How about Solar Fire? Manford Man. They made a lot of records. Okay, here's another album where I found this one, which I've never seen before. It's got the guy in the mouth inside the ear. I hope those are coming out okay. See, they're different. This is the one you normally see all the time out in the wild, but I never saw this one before, and I really don't know what the difference is between one or the other. I think this one here is a reissue from '77. This is the original from '76. So there you go. I just picked them up because they were different. I don't know. How about Fresh Air 4? Chip Davis. This album is still sealed, so I left it in the bag, the original bag. Found it at Habitat for Humanity for 33 cents. So I haven't even opened it to listen to, but I've heard it before. And here's Chip Davis with his band Mannheim Steamroller and his Christmas album. And I don't have too many Christmas albums, but I have this one here. And I like a couple other songs. Okay, now we're going right into Marillion, and I just showed these. I had a Marillion special a few shows ago before I started showing my albums. But Market Square Heroes, this was the original EP before the first album come out. Pretty cool. It has Market Square Heroes, 3 Boats Down from the Candy, and it has the entire Grendel suite on the B-side. And here's their first album, Script for a Jester's Tear. And it has a radio station down here, WRTO. You know, Happy Hippie might know what radio station that is. He worked at a radio station. And here you go, WUCF. I think UCF, that's in Orlando. That's the, they might have the colleges in Orlando. Maybe they had a radio show at one time there years ago. But this is He Knows You Know, and Marillion. It's a promo. Found this in a little record store down in Orlando. Fugazi. This is Marillion's second album. I just showed these. I'll go pretty quick through these. Misplaced Childhood, their third album. This is their Some say it's their best, but I think like the Prog Corner, they got better at each album, and then they got their last album, which was Clutching at Straws. I just ordered it. I don't have it. Here's Brief Encounter. This is a live album that has Lady Nina, Freaks, Kaylee on here. Kaylee, of course, from Misplaced Childhood. And then here you go, is it a 4-track sampler? Has Kaylee, Incommunicado. This is a 4-track sampler from their live album, The Thieving Magpie, which I have on CD. I recently picked that up on CD. I've never seen the album. I know it's available. I just don't have a copy of it. And here we go with Mark Egan. Mark Egan was the bass player for the Pat Metheny group, and this is one of his solo albums. You know, I love my jazz. I'll try to get through these. Everybody knows this guy, Mark Farner. I saw this album. I haven't listened to it, but he's the lead singer and leader of the band Grand Funk Railroad, for all intents and purposes, until they had a breakup. Another dysfunctional band. But they're still out touring, and Mark Farner's out touring, but they don't tour together. And I don't know what the deal was with Mark Farner and the band. They're always, on most of their albums, they're always have their shirts off, and sometimes they don't have any clothes on. Mark Isham, Vapor Drawings. Mark Isham did a lot of film scores. He was also in a band called Group 87, if you want to, as an 80s band, which had Patrick O'Hearn in it, and Patrick O'Hearn was from Missing Persons. And then, you know, Patrick O'Hearn from Missing Persons, then you got Terry Bozzio, and Terry Bozzio was a drummer, and he was with Zappa, and he was also on the second UK album. Mark Isham, here we go with, this is a sample from Vapor Drawings, the album that I just showed you, but this was a promo. Having a thunderstorm at the moment outside. Film music. Like I say, Mark Isham did a lot of film music. Mrs. Soulful, The Times of Harvey Milk, and Never Cry Wolf. I guess those were some songs he added to those movies. I like Mark Isham. His new age. Oh, there we go. Mary Hopkins, and she has a song, Lord of the Reedy River, which was a Donovan song that Kate Bush made, that she recorded. But I guess Mary Hopkins also recorded this. And then this album has the song Those Were the Days. And that was all over the radio when I was a kid. Those were the days, my friend. So let's just keep dancing. Let's bring on the booze. Oh yeah. I'm sure I did a lousy job there. Okay, Mcdonald and Giles. I found this album not too far from here, in a little town called Marillion, North Carolina. And I was a little record store, and I was going through all his records. I usually go right to the rock albums, and I go A to Z. I go right through them. I go through them quick, and I got to the point in my life where I can go through them pretty fast and pick out any winners. Well, I found a winner that day, and I think he had a price tag on here around $10, and I couldn't get it in my hot little hand fast enough. And I didn't just sit it down and keep. I had it like this, and I was going through. I didn't want to let it out of me. I didn't want somebody to come by and grab it. Not that anybody really would even notice, know what this was, because the guy that ran the store didn't even know what it was. But then when I showed it to him, then I kind of told him after I bought it what it was. This is the precursor of King Crimson. This is the album that came out before In Court of the Crimson King. Mcdonald and Giles were involved with early on with King Crimson, and they made this album, and it's very good. So find that album if you can. It's pretty expensive if you find it on eBay. It's one of those places. McHenry Spring. I just dipping my toe into them. I never really heard too much of their music, but this album is called Spring Sweet. So if anybody out there knows anything about McHenry Spring, it looks like a Roger Dean cover. How about the Super Session? I just showed this the other day. Here's Mike Bloomfield, Al Cooper, and Steve Stills. This album came out, this is a 2i 2i Columbia. This probably would have came out before Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, I would believe, or about that same time. I just picked up Steve Stills' second solo album the other day. I listened to it. It was really good. I had to listen to his Manassas stuff again. I used to have the Manassas first album. I picked it up again. I saw a copy of Down on the Road or Down to the Road, which had, I think Chris Hillman is on it, but I didn't buy it. And then when I went back to Nebo, it was gone. So I don't know if it's still there. I just missed it or what. Michael Hedges. This is a great album here. Breakfast in the Field. And I seen, trying to think who was his name. I saw a guy the other day. He was looking at some records. And he went right past Breakfast in the Field. He went right past 2 Michael Hedges albums. And he was in the dollar bin, I think. Here's Live on a Double Planet. This guy here is incredible. If you ever listened to Michael Hedges, you know, you need to go ahead and find a way to listen to it for free and then see if you like him, because he's on the Windham Hill, but he's just incredible guitar player. My friend John up in New Jersey told me he saw him live in the city years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. It was like when I went and saw John McLaughlin, I was just like, for like an hour and a half, I'm just looking at him like, I just couldn't believe that. He was so incredible guitar player. It's like when I go see Steve Hackett, same thing. Hackett is just unbelievable. Naranda Sampler, Michael Jones, Gabriel Lee, David Lance. You know, I'm a sucker for this Naranda and Windham Hill stuff. The sound on these are really, really good and almost audiophile. Imagine that. Almost. How about this one, The Promise? Now this is Mike Pinder. Mike Pinder was the original keyboard player for the Moody Blues. This is his solo album. Only one that I know of that he did. He might have done others, but I don't know of any others. And then he left the band after Seventh Sojourn, and then he came back for Octave. And if you can find Octave on blue vinyl, that's a really cool album to find. In Through the Outdoor, or not In Through the Outdoor. Slipping Through the Slide Zone. Their album cover shows them going into the future, like leaving the past, going into the future. And so that's a really cool album, and that's the tour I saw. I think that's the first time I saw it at Moody Blues was on the Octave tour. That would have been in the 70s for sure. Okay, now we're going to talk about an artist that I really love, Mike Oldfield, and Rachel really likes Mike Oldfield too. This is Tubular Bells, his first album. He was like 17 when he made this album, or something crazy like that. That album is incredible. And then we have Hergus Ridge, and this is a white label promo of Hergus Ridge. I have another copy of this that I'll be putting in my sale. Then we have Amadon. This is a quadraphonic pressing. These sound really good. These sound really good on stereo as well. That's Amadon. That's his third album. Then we have QE2. It has Taurus 1 on here. Great song. If you haven't heard Mike Oldfield lately, you need to give him a listen. Then we have Crises. Then I just picked up the other day. Oh, here's Moonlight Shadow. This is from the album Crisis. So this is on Virgin, and this is a promo 12-inch EP. Like back in the day, they used to do those. Islands, Mike Oldfield. I got a pretty good Mike Oldfield collection. I've been working on it. It ain't easy. I want to show you. I'm coming. Give me a second here. 5 miles out. Just hold your head high. I'm going to take you 5 miles out. Great album. This is from '82. And I'm going to put that with my other Mike Oldfield stuff. I can go ahead and get that properly put into my collection. Then we're going to talk about another Mike. Since we're in the M's, we're going to talk about Mike Rutherford, bass player for Genesis. This is his first solo album called Small Creeps Day. And he didn't sing the vocals on this because his vocals are really horrible. He's not known to be a vocalist. So no knock against Mike Rutherford. He's not a vocalist. But who else is on this? Noel McCalla on vocals, courtesy of CBS Records. Simon Phillips on drums. Morris Pert from Brand X plays drums on this, percussion. And then Mike Rutherford on guitar and basses. So that's pretty cool. That's this album here, really good. And this is an album that came out in 1980 when punk was real big, right? I wasn't listening to punk. I was listening to stuff like this. I was listening to the leftover progressive rock artists from the 70s, and they were still making music in the 80s. That's what I was pretty much listening to. And I said one day, let me put this album up. I said one day that I didn't really care for the music of the 80s. And as I'm going through my collection, 50 albums a day for 50 days, I'm seeing more and more stuff that came out in the 80s, and said, well, this is what you were listening to, Art, in the 80s. We were listening to this all. You were listening to prog in the 80s, the second wave of prog and the third wave of prog. They call it neo-prog. Acted Very Strange. I got this album through on eBay for like $5 with shipping. And Mike Rutherford tried this in the second album. He tried to sing vocals on here. It's horrendous. But I got it because Pete Robinson, the keyboardist I really like, plays the keyboards on this album. So there you go. What we got next? Oh, I love Missing Persons. We just talked about them. This is one of their albums. They have a couple albums. They did a couple albums. But the people that are on this is real impressive because it has Patrick O'Hearn on here, who later on, he was in the band Group 87 I was telling you about. But he went on to do some New Age music. He's got a series of albums he did. They're really good. And then Dale Bozzio's on here, and her husband at the time, Terry Bozzio, who played with Zappa, and also Terry Bozzio was on the second UK album with Eddie Jobson when after Bruford left. Bruford was on the first album, the UK album, and Alan Holdsworth left. That's when Terry Bozzio stepped in and became the drummer, and they made Danger Money. That's a great album too. That's another 80s album that I was listening to in the 80s. Maybe I should just do a show of like my top 20 prog albums from the 80s. Oh, I don't think anybody's done that. I don't even think the prog channel guy, prog man, Prog Corner. Yeah, that's his name. The Prog Corner guy. Maybe I got one up on him. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe when I'm all done here in another couple weeks or 10 days, maybe I'll do my top 20 prog albums from the 80s. That's a good idea. I better write that one down. Okay, how about Moby Grape? I was in an antique store, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 9 months ago, and I was going through the album. It had dollar records, and they were on a shelf, an old wooden shelf, and then at the they were like 4 high, and I had to get on the floor just about to see the bottom row. I'm going through them, Lawrence Welk, Andy Williams, all the normal, Patty Page, going through Jim Neighbors, Herb Albert. There we're going, and we're going through, man. We're going through. I must have went through about 200 records, and I'm getting to the end. I'm getting to the end. Jerry Vale, oh my gosh, this is ever gonna end. Chalet Fabre, Musketeers. Here we go. What else we got? Going through, and we're still going, and we're going, and we're going, and then I got about 20 albums left on this shelf. And this shelf is not the sturdiest shelf, and I got them all shifted over, And I see this album. I'm like, what the hell is that? I've never seen this album before in my life. I've never heard of Moby Grape, for one. And, this album came out. When did this album come out? It's on a 2i. I don't know. So I paid $1 for this. But the vinyl on here is like, it was played maybe, I don't know, 10 times. Who knows? It's old. I know that much. But I just for the cover alone, it was worth $1. And then to find out that the album was worth quite a bit of money, which I don't plan on selling, but it was just cool to have. And then I've listened to it once. It's okay. Oh, now we're going to start a band that's just a little bit more than just okay. And we're going to end the day with showing you these. And then My next show tomorrow, um, we're gonna have probably half of the records I show tomorrow will be this band here, because this is one of my favorite all-time bands. In my top five, I would say in my top five bands, which that could be a show too. Okay, so this is the album Go Now, and this is when Denny Lane was in the band. This is before Justin Hayward and John Lodge. This is before all that. And so this is their album, Go Now, yeah. Prog Hat was showing that album. Days of Future Past. Their second album. But this is their first prog album. Their other album, Go Now, the one I just showed you, is more of like a pop album. In Search of the Lost Chord. Here's another copy of Search of the Lost Chord. One's on the London, one's on the Durham. So if I have two pressings of the album, I normally keep them both. But if they're the exact same, then I usually let one go. On the Threshold of a Dream, this is Super Disc. This is here pretty cool. I was same antique store. Where is it? It's in Newton, North Carolina. So I'm going through the records in that store. You know, I went to the normal place where I find some stuff. Found some John Coltrane record there, and some other stuff. And then, even though I'm not really into John Coltrane, but it's not my shtick. But I know people love them, and that's fine. It's just not for the North Carolina vinyl picker. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Super Disc. So we're looking around. I'm looking around. I go around to the back, and then I see on the floor there was a small stack of records, probably about 15, 20 records in this little thing. I'm going through it, and I see this here, and the guy's got paper on the front, $5. All the records in this thing, and I found Focus 3 there too. Paid $5 for that, and then Super Disc. I said, what the hell? On the Threshold of a Dream, I looked it out. I first thing anybody, I checked it. It looked like it's never been played. Well, that's another record that I had in my hand, and I couldn't get it in my hand fast enough. Then I have another copy of that went into the sale. To our children's children. Great album. I'd love to find a super disc of that album. Question of Balance. Now this album is from Germany, and this was given to me by my cousin's husband. I seen him before we left Florida. I went and saw him. I'll just say his name is John also. And I went and saw my cousin and John, and John showed me. He knows I was into records and stuff, and so he showed me his record collection, which was pretty cool. And he says, if you want one, go ahead and grab one. I said, really? I said, yeah. He said, I don't hardly listen to him. So I went through his records. I'm going through them. Then I saw the Moody Blues. I'm like, oh man, I would love to have this one. I would love to have this one. I say every time I play this record, I'm going to think of you. And here I am, going nationwide talking about it. But and then he passed away about a few months ago. So I just had a feeling at the time when I saw him that I wasn't going to see him again. And somebody I've known all my life. So it's sad. That's for sure. And that was just one of them things. You meet somebody and you get a deep down gut feeling that this might be the last time you ever see this person. So we went out to lunch with them, and went out with lunch with my cousin and stuff. And I plan on seeing her again, hopefully soon. So I miss her, and moving to North Carolina, she lives in Florida, so I don't get to see her as often as we did. Question of Balance. This is a Taiwanese cover. I'm a sucker for these, and usually you see them for like $1 or something, and they got all the. I don't know why I pick them up. I'm a nerd like this when it comes to this kind of stuff. I just gotta have it, and if it's like $1 or less than $5, I'll pick them up. And I have I should show them that one day. I think I have like 5 or 6 of them now. Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. This one here is also a German copy. And all my American Threshold records are all going into the sale. Seventh Sojourn. It's kind of cool how we're ending here at Seventh Sojourn. That's when I was telling you Mike Pinder, after this album, he left the band. That was another great album. I'd like to find a better copy of that. And then this box set is really cool. Now this has their first 7 albums in it. And this is a Taiwanese thing too. I found this in a flea market in Florida. And the guy had like $10 on it or $12. And this is another deal where I grabbed it up and took it. But he also had a copy. I had it that day, and I still think about it to this day. The time it gets something is when you see it. Because when you go back, it's never there. You know, or when you leave and you say, oh, next time I'm here, and then you move away. And it's like, I know I ain't going to get it now. He had the Alice Cooper Schools Out album with the panties in it. And, you know, I think he had like $15, $20 on it. I'm like, oh my God, I should have picked that up. Because that's on my list. That's one I want. Because I had it when I was a kid, you know. One of them things. So this album here, hope I can just rest that there. It's got this sheet in here. And then it's got these albums. I'm going to show you real quick. See, they're all the Taiwanese. And it's got the first, it's got Seventh Sojourn, Days of Future Past, Question of Balance, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. Then it's got the Moody Blues, which is the first album. To Our Children's Children's Children, On the Threshold of a Dream, and In Search of the Lost Chord. So it has 8 albums in here, including their first album, which was with Denny Lane, the one I was telling you about. So this thing here is pretty cool. Will I ever play it? Probably not. And actually, the records probably don't sound all that great. It's just one of them things to have. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I couldn't find it in Discogs on the side. I couldn't find it in Discogs. I'll let you see it one more time. I couldn't find it in Discogs, but I looked on PopPsych, which is another channel or website you can go to, and it talks about it. And it has all the records that have been released and stuff. And they had it on PopPsych. I think they had 1 copy on there, and it was never sold or something like that. But it's not in Discogs, so I can't put this into my Discogs. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. That's it. Wow, we went 33 minutes. Let me wrap this thing up. Y'all have a great day out there, and be safe, like I always say, and then support the troops. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow about this same time. I'll go ahead and do my show, and then we'll post it. I'm winding down. I'm getting my my yard work done. I've been working 2 days out there, so I'm just going around the house, and then once I get to the other side of the house, I get back to the front. I'm going to go back around one more time just to make sure I got everything I want done for the fall. So the leaves are already falling off one of our trees here in North Carolina. They turn yellow when they drop, and it's behind the house. So that's a good inclination that fall is on its way when the leaves start to fall up here in the mountains of North Carolina. So y'all take care, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow, and have a great day. Bye for now.